Hello and welcome to this fitting tutorial guide for our pyramid rear hugger for the Triumph Speed 400 and Triumph Scrambler 400. Begin by assembling the hugger blade to the hugger bracket. This is done by using the provided M5 bolts, M5 nuts and the 4 M5 washers. Simply grab the hugger blade and line it up to the two mounting points on the hugger bracket. Make sure the blade is on the outside of the bracket and not behind it, like that. Grab an M5 bolt and place an M5 washer over the thread and place the M5 bolt through the back of the blade there, so the thread is facing this way. You then want to place another M5 washer over the thread and then it can be finished off with the M5 nylon nut. M5 bolt with an M5 washer, place it through from the back, place the M5 washer on the thread and the M5 nylon nut. That will be both nylon nuts, both M5 bolts and all 4 M5 washers used up, like so. Make sure the hugger blade is flush with the top of the hugger bracket. You don't want it wonky like that. Make sure it's nice and flush, like so. With it nice and flush, with the nuts and bolts in place, you can then tighten them up fully in this position and then we can move to the bike. And there we are. With both the nuts fully tightened, the blade positioned correctly along the bracket, you can then place the 2 caps over the nuts to hide the nuts and it looks a lot better. Now we can take the hugger over to the Speed 400 and fit it to the bike. The first step to do will be to remove your exhaust end can. This allows you to get better access to the OEM chain guard. So undo the bolt that's attaching the end can to just beneath the rear foot pegs, like so. And then there's a little Jubilee clip at the bottom. You want to undo that with a socket and the end can will twist straight off. With the exhaust removed, we can now proceed to removing the OEM chain guard and the OEM hugger from the bike. To do this, unscrew these 2 bolts here, holding the OEM chain guard in. Make sure to keep the bolts as we're going to reuse them. And then for the OEM hugger, there are 3 bolts, here, here, and here. You're going to want to remove all 3 of them, but make sure to keep this one and this one as we're going to reuse them. This 3rd one at the back, we're going to replace. To get the 2 bolts off that are securing the chain guard, like so. There we have it. Remove the chain guard, pop it to one side, but make sure to keep the 2 bolts that the chain guard was attached with. And then proceed to remove the 3 bolts I just pictured a second ago that's holding the OEM guard on. So we've got one just tucked down here, a really difficult to access one at the back. Now we are replacing that bolt with something else to make it a little bit easier to access. And then there's the other silver bolt on the left hand side of the bike. There we go, with the final bolt removed, the rear guard should come loose, just like so. With the next step, we can finally install the hugger to the bike. So simply feed the hugger over your rear wheel, like so. Each hole should line up nice and perfectly. Now the first bolt that we're going to put in is the one at the back here that we're actually going to be replacing with the M6x20 hex head bolt that's included in our kit. So grab that, put one of the M6 washers over the bolt as well, and we're going to place that at the back, replacing the black bolt that came out of that slot. Now this is a hex head, so it should be a little bit easier to get a spanner onto the head to really tighten it up, as opposed to this one where you need an Allen key and it's a bit fiddly. So that's the first one we're going to put in first. Now because we picked a hex head bolt, you can just fit a spanner in there. There you go, and if you've got a ratchet spanner, that should tighten up quite nicely. So that's the first bolt at the back that you want to install. Make sure that the back bolt is only hand tight for now. With that one in, the next bolt to place in is the one that is located here. And for that, just use the same bolt that came out of it. The OEM bolt that came out of that slot goes straight back in. Make sure this bolt is only hand tight as well. We're going to tighten them properly at the end. And then on the left hand side of the bike, there's one remaining mounting point. Use the same OEM silver bolt that came out of that slot. However, make sure to pair it up with our 2 provided M8 washers. One of these wants to sit in between the blade and the thread, so you want to put it underneath. There we go, so the washer is in between the cap and the thread, and then the second washer just place over the bolt like so, and then you can then thread it in. There we go, only hand tight for now. And the final step is back over on the right hand side of the bike. There are 2 bolts holding in the chain guard. Just use the same 2 OEM bolts that came out of them slots and put them back in. Just hand tight for now. 1 in there. So there's 5 fixings altogether, 2 on this side and 3 up at the back. With them all in loosely, you can then go around and tighten them all fully. Start with the 3 bolts at the back that's securing the blade to the bike. Tighten them up nice and secure. With the 3 at the back tightened, we can then tighten the chain guard bolts up like so. And that is your hugger fitted to the bike, complete. Check all the fixings, make sure your caps are nice and secure, make sure nothing is loose. And the last thing to do, of course, is to refit your exhaust. And there you go. If you're having any trouble with any of these steps, please feel free to drop us a line, comment down below. We'll try to help you out where we can. In the meantime, we hope you enjoy your Speed or Scrambler 400 rear hugger.